Okay guys, it's Jonny from JTK Gaming here, and today I'm going to bring you my Sorc pet build, which is crazy. It has blown me away and surprised me in so many ways. I just didn't think I could get as much as I've got out of a build, and I'm just super happy with it. So, you know, if you want something that does a lot of damage, has awesome sustain, and is tanky, hang around and I will show you how you can do it. So, the gear I am wearing. I'm wearing 2 Infernal Guardian. You guys know this is good. It is good, and that's why it's on me. On me. Anyway, Infernal Guardian, everyone knows what it does. I run this for small group and for for battlegrounds and for small scale PvP. For large scale, I normally swap in Groftar, and sometimes I even use Engine Guardian. But you know, this is kind of open. You can run whatever you want. It won't impact the build very much at all. So then I'm running 5-piece Lynch. This is where our awesome sustain comes from. Now, I'm running triglyphs on my large pieces with infused, and then a mixture of divines and infused for my small pieces. I just want all the magic I can get and all the stats I can get, and this is one good way to do it. So I'm running 4 Lynch on my body, gloves, chest, belt, and boots, and then I'm running necro jewelry, necro legs, and necro weapons, and then my shield is Lynch. So that's where I get my 5-piece Lynch from, and that's where I get my Lynch proc from, is my back bar. So I'm running magic recovery on my 2 rings, and I'm running spell damage on my necklace. The sustain's that good on this build, I'll probably end up swapping these out for spell damage, and then I'll hit even harder. So that's basically the gear, guys, and let's get into the stats of this build. So these are purely unbuffed stats. I'll try and do an overlay of some of the buff stats, but we have 48k magic, then we go to our buck bar and we almost have 50k magic. We have 28.5k health, which is it's really good. 28k or 28.5k will stop you from getting those one hits and basically getting ganked a lot of the time. So we have 11.5k stamina. I think it's enough to, you know, not have stamina issues. But if you are having stamina issues, make sure you use tri-stat food and you'll be fine. Spell damage is 1400. This goes up to about 2k when we're buffed up. And our crit goes up to, I think, just under 50k when we're buffed up. So they're not awful stats, but, you know, when we've got as much magic as we do, it, you know, counts it out, you know, like it makes up for it. So then we have 1700, 1777 magic recovery. It's reasonably high for a standard base recovery, but this goes up to about 3.6, 3.7 when we have our Lynch proc, our potion buff, and all that kind of stuff. So 3.7 recovery is just crazy. I will buff up and show you in an overlay. Then we have bugger all health recovery because we're a vampire, and then that little bit extra stamina recovery that we get from our CP, just to help out that little that stamina pool just a little bit. Then we have our spell and physical resistance. These stats aren't too bad, they're quite good. That's unbuffed, so buffed we're looking at about 19 spell and about 17 physical. So not too bad, it's not awful. So we are a vampire and we are using the mage. You don't need to be a vampire, and I would highly recommend using the mage. There isn't really another one worth running. The 1500 magic, or if you're running more divines, like 1800 magic is just too hard to give up. And that's the stats, guys. So basically, let's move on. So next up, we have our skill bars. So this is kind of where some of the skill comes into this build, and why it is a lot harder to play than what you may think it is. A lot of people use their overload bar before and after fights, but not many people, besides, you know, skilled streamers and things like that, like Fang Rush and stuff, use their overload bar actively in a fight. And that's what you need to do for this build to be, you know, super effective. My bar setups are still kind of getting played around with, so, you know, things will change probably over the next week or so, but this is what I'm running at the moment. I'm running the Summon Twilight Matriarch on both bars for my necro. This is 11k heal for me and someone else. So, you know, it's basically a breath of life. It's crazy. So, next is Harness Magic. This is another really good defensive skill. It gives me a really big shield and also returns magic. So, it's a no-brainer, really. Now, this Structured Empathy, I am kind of playing around with this versus Power Surge. Think I'm going to stay with this because I kind of like the skills the same. The 5% max health kind of won me over as far as that battle between those two skills went. But Power Surge would be fine to run in here. I don't have my mage all leveled up, so I probably will be sitting over 50k once I've got all that leveled with the extra percentage. Actually, 2 extra % I'll get when I level that up. Then we have our Execute. So this has been a really big hard problem for me to get used to, having my Execute on my back bar, because it's been on my front bar for the last 6 months and it's took me a little bit to get used to, but I think I've got it down packed now. And then we have Streak. This is, you know, a really good skill to get the fuck out of dodge. You know, that Raider EP come in towards you and you can just get away, but they'll more than likely chase you across the map. But, you know, let's not talk about EP and their useless shitty Zergs today. And then our ultimate is Overload. We double bar. I'll explain why you should double bar it. Basically, once I've got this build down a little bit better, I'll be putting like Destro or something like that on my front bar. But for now, it's just a little bit tricky in combat and I want to go to my overload bar. I'm accidentally on my front bar and I pop my Destro instead. So that's kind of why I recommend having overload on both bars, just till you get used to the build a little bit. I'll go over the overload bar in a second. So on our front bar, we're running the pet again. Then we have Hardened Ward, another really good defensive shield, sorry. And then we have our DPS rotation combo. We have Haunting Curse, Crushing Shock, Crystal Frags. So basically we prime them up with Haunting Curse, we hit them with Crushing Shock, Light Attack, Crushing Shock, swap to our back bar, hit Endless Fury, and then more than likely have a frag proc and hit them with a frag proc as the Haunting Curse goes off. You will do a shit ton of damage, and if you can get this rotation and time it perfectly every time, I guarantee you'll kill the player. If it's not the first one, it'll probably more than likely be the second. So then we have our overload bar. I am playing around with this quite a lot. But at the moment, I have the pet again, I have Hardened Ward again. Just, you know, if you get stuck on this bar, I'm still having a little bit of issues with it. I haven't mastered it yet. But, you know, over the next few days I will, and this skill will come off this bar, and I'll just have the pet on there as a defensive skill. But for now, it will be staying there. Then I have Boundless Storm, Proxy. You know, Proxy I use in large groups. I don't really use it when I'm around by myself, but it's there. And the sustain on this build was that good that I moved my dark conversion to the overload bar. I didn't need it on my main bars, and that's why it's there. So another really good tip I will give you guys is you can block animation cancel your overload. Trust me, it will make the animation a lot smoother. It will make it like you're changing to a normal bar. So as you can see here, I'm doing it. You can see the animation basically not going off, and you're swapping straight to your overload bar. I'm still not the best at it, so but that is a good example of how you do that. So that's my skill bar. Let's go over some CP. Now, I haven't gone over my CP for this build specifically, so this is just a general idea of where you want to put your CP. I've got 39 into Siphoner, 22 into Warlord, 28 into Mooncalf, 53 into Arcanist. That's where we get that bit extra stamina recovery from. 46 into Tumbling. I do like to dodge roll quite a lot. That's why I've got quite a few points into there. Then in our offensive, we have 43 into Elemental, 50 into Spell Erosion, 26 into Elfborn, 44 into Blessed, and then Master at Arms, we have 47. This is really important. This is one of the things that make our frags hit like truck. Then in our defensive, as I just said about the crystal frags, this is the defense for your direct damage. This is a very important, guys. Like, I didn't have any in here and I was getting wrecked, so really important to put some in here. Then I have 43 into Hardy, 37 into Elemental Defender, 16 into Thick Skin, and 77 into Bastion. To be honest, I could probably take 10 out of here and not really lose much. The diminishing returns are really high now once you get past about 50 or 60. You could put some here into critical resistance. I really don't see the need of it because you have your shields up 90%, 95% of the time, and they can't be crit, so why have something that's only going to be doing something 5% of the time? I seen a recent video, or super recent, but a video not long ago about a pet Sorc build of quite a large big YouTuber, and he ran crit resistance everywhere, and it just made no sense to me. I just don't understand why you'd run something that's only gonna do you good for a very, very small window of time. So that's basically my CP. If you have trouble with it, hit me up in game and I can, give you a hand sorting your CP up. And that's basically my CP. So once again, guys, this is Jonny from JTK Gaming, and I hope this video's helped. And if you have any questions, don't forget to leave a comment and I will answer every comment. So if you need help, post it down there. You can always ask me in game as well. If you need some help with CP or whatever it may be, just hit me up in the comments or in game and I will do my best to help you out. So that has been my killer Sorc build, and I hope you guys learnt something and will be out there wrecking face very soon with this build. So I'll catch you later, guys, and I will see you in Tilda.